Welcome to the Achieve Anything Show, brought to you by Strive and today's host, Xander Woodford Smith.
Welcome, Strivers, to another episode of the Achieve Anything Show. I'm Xander Woodford Smith, founder of Strive, and we've got a great show for you today. Following up on last week's show, all about the number one thing you must have to achieve anything. Now I'm going to give you the whole system. In today's episode, we're going to look at a specific story of mine this week where I thought I was nearly going to die, but how that applies to achieving any goal that you want, some of the science behind some of the principles in it, and then some strategies that you can take away. So that's what this show is always about: stories, science, and strategies. And in this episode, we've got all three. So let me tell you what happened first with the story, and then we'll get to the science and the strategy. So I've been in Bali for about 3 weeks now. I've been as part of my world tour trip, going around visiting different countries, just seeing where I want to live in the world. And while I was traveling in New Zealand, I was booked my Bali trip, and someone said to me, "You've got to go diving with manta rays. It's absolutely incredible in this place in Bali. You can go do it here." And so this is like the first thing that we talked about last week. I heard this from somebody, and the way they described it, I thought, ooh, that's what I want. I want that too. I want that same experience, those same feelings. That sounds like an amazing thing. So I've got clarity about what my goal is the first thing that happened by someone else saying something. And here's the first little subtlety I want you to think about are your goals really your own? So in that case, that's quite an obvious thing of where someone said, "Oh, I did this," and then I said, "Oh, I want to do that too. That sounds amazing." But you've got to understand, everything we do is all about social conditioning and the constructs that we have in our mind. This is what we talk about when we get into the advanced levels of vertical development. You start to see through more of those contexts, and then you can start to actually see the constructs that create that. Now, this is a very simple one, but for you, when you're setting your own goals, just do a little check-in with yourself. So maybe you've got your 3 goals from last week. Do a little check-in where do you think those came from? Do you have a huge financial goal that's way bigger than most others because there was lots of insecurity around that when you were younger? Okay, and then maybe you think, oh, well, maybe do I need that much money? So that was something that came up for me, always wanting so much finances because there was such a struggle when I was younger. And then as you start to look through that, you realize, oh, I don't need that much. This is what all I need, and I'd be happy with. And it can change your goals to make them more achievable and more in line with what's actually going to make you happy, rather than just being led by something else. So that's the first little tip and distinction. But anyway, carry on with the story where I thought I was going to die. So, got clear on what I wanted, and then next thing I needed was a plan of action. So, found a diving school right near where I was staying in Bali, and what the instructor there said, so there's another key takeaway, is about finding someone, diving you can't really do on your own, so it's a great example, but lots of people try and do things and achieve goals on their own where someone else already knows exactly what to do. Now, other goals, maybe like losing weight or starting a business, you're not forced to go with an instructor, whereas you are in diving, but it's as dangerous to try and achieve that goal on your own without a mentor, without a guide, as it is doing diving on your own. You wouldn't go dive on your own. Don't go and try and figure all this out on your own. Any goal that exists, somebody has already figured out how to do it, or you can take the lessons from there so you can speed up your learning process. So that's point number 2 about getting a guide, getting a mentor. And I would say this: don't get too many mentors. Find one that you're going to listen to. Clear out the rest of your inbox and things you're subscribed to. So one, and it doesn't have to be one for your entire life, one for each area you want to focus on. So pick one person to focus on for your health and your body, who's got the body you want. Pick one person who's got the business or the finances you want and subscribe to them and listen to them. Pick one person who knows about personal growth and personal development. Hopefully that's Strive and me and helping you there. But have that lead person, just so that you're not getting confused and pulled in all different directions. It's better to have, I heard a phrase recently, it's better to have take decisions from one average general than 2 great generals, because you don't want to be split in terms of what you think you should be doing. Okay, so that's point number 2, is get a guide, get a mentor, and make sure you simplify it down to number one of them. So then, what Rachel at Trinity Diving said, which I'd highly recommend if you ever come to Bali, was that she recommended, I just wanted to do a discovery dive. My goal was manta rays. I don't need to do all the open water course. Let's keep it simple. Let's not go too crazy with this thing. She said, in order for you to enjoy the process a bit more, you probably want to do a pool day first, just so you get used to the skills and you're able to, know what it's like breathing underwater, what it's like with the thing, so you're not just diving in literally to the deep end in open water straight away. So we went and did the pool day. That was all great. Working with her, taking the mask on and off underwater, clearing it out, learning how to breathe properly, doing all these things. And in the pool, it's fine because at any point you can come up for air. It's all good. Even if it goes wrong, you can just push off the bottom and everything's fine, even when you've got all the gear on and the weights and everything. But it all went well, so I was excited by the next day. So we go on the boat, go out the next day, get all the kit on, feeling great with Rachel, really trust her. And then we dive in the water, like sit on the edge of the boat, roll backwards, and I felt like a Navy SEAL, going off backwards like that. And then we've got the mask on. She says, right, you ready? And it's the same as yesterday in the pool. And so right now we're about to be at the point where I'm going to get to achieve that goal that I've been thinking of 6 weeks ago when this person had said to me, the thing I'd been imagining doing, that I'd been excited about. And so we did the signal and we started to descend. And immediately, the manta rays are waiting, 10 meters down below. As soon as we started going down, and I realized this was the real thing. This was not the safety net of the pool anymore. There was no way really back out. Once we go down there, you can't come rushing back up. Otherwise, you get lung problems. You can get an expansion injury. It's really dangerous. You can get the bends. There's all kinds of issues that Rachel have been really clear about the problems that can happen if you come up too quick. So as soon as we started going down, and it's supposed to be exactly the same as in the pool, completely different. So all of a sudden I notice how much my ears are hurting. We stop a few meters down and I'm thinking, I can't do this. Like, if I go any further, I'm going to panic, I'm going to die. Like, this is not going to be good at all. I'm stressed out. And so I'm pausing there, waiting. She's telling me to breathe. I'm saying, like, okay, my mindset wasn't in the right place for this. I was thinking it was going to be like the pool, whereas it's very different. Now we don't have the safety net, need a different mindset. So I do the signal to go back up to the surface. So she heads back up with me and we pop up and I just take a minute to gather my thoughts. And the thing that really worried me is, even when I was really in a cool place again, I thought that it was going to be too difficult to do on my own, to do it, because I thought I'd sooner start panicking again. To be down there and just relying on this, it's such a weird feeling, so different from what you practice in the pool. And so ultimately what happened is Rachel just said a few words that it was entirely normal, and this is the power of having a guide. So this is what happens to some of the Strive Xers in our program. They go to a new level of consciousness in terms of what they're now focused on, and it feels like, oh my God, what is happening? What is going on? And it's all perfectly normal. You might jump to a new level and you suddenly lose all sense of like yourself and what's important to you, and that's actually how you grow through one level to the next. So if you've got someone that can tell you that, so as soon as Rachel said, oh, all first divers do that, it's absolutely no problem at all, because it feels so different, you can't come rushing back up, but it's okay. Just remember to keep breathing, and we can sort out any issues as long as you keep breathing, and you've always got the backup respirator there. And so it happened that we managed to go back down and start descending further and just take our time step by step. So let's break down a few of the things that happened right there. Is that, first of all, the fear that kicks in right before you think you're moving towards a goal. When it's no longer practice, when practice is in your mind at imagining what it's like to have a business. Imagining what it would be like to be your own boss. That's when you're in the pool. When you're in the ocean is when you've left your job and your only income is coming in from that business. You've got to make it work. There's no other way out. Or the time where you finally really committed to make that shift, that change. You've got rid of all your clothes that you previously were too big, that fit you, but now you want to be a different size. There's a complete difference between the practice, the imagining, and when it's time to really step up and go after that goal. So have a think for you about whether you've been in practice mode for those 3 goals that you might have picked from last week, or whether you're actually now diving in and you're going to go deep on whatever it is that you want to achieve. So we start descending down, and we just take it a step at a time. We go nice and slowly, but we're making progress. We go down, equalize, and I just keep reminding myself that it's perfectly normal to feel worried, but we go step by step. And just as, with a goal, as you go further and further, as you go deeper diving, the pressure increases, but it increases by less and less. So the first 10 meters, when you're diving, at the surface it's 1 bar of pressure. 10 meters down, it's 2 bars of pressure. So that's a double. So the most difficult part in terms of the pressure that's going to be on you is the change there. Then once you go from 2 to 3, that's only a 50% increase. Then when you're going 3 to 4, it's only 33%. And then once you're at 8 to 10 meters, you hardly notice the difference in pressure change. And that's exactly the same with your goals. The first part is always the hardest because it's the biggest shift between what you're used to and what you're not. So it's that first part where you've got to really push, and you got to keep breathing. You got to keep doing the practices that are going to keep you on track. So if that's losing weight, it's got to be the healthy eating habits, and it's got to be the going to the gym or exercise routine. You've got to just keep doing the things that are going to make you solid and okay to carry on, because then the pressure will get less and less and it'll become much easier. So I think this is why I was excited to share this, because I think there's so many different metaphors and other things. And I'll share with you some video of the manta rays. We were so close. It was the most incredible experience. It was like something out of Avatar, which was really, really exciting. Just flying like right by next to me. And even though, it took probably about 10, 15, 20 minutes to really start feeling comfortable. I was next to Rachel the whole time, like as her guiding me through, just so that I could get used to it. And so it was all okay. And that's the same way you want to have a mentor or guide to know at the different stages what you want to achieve, and keeping you okay and making sure you don't freak out. So it's really, really important. Here's one other thing that I want to mention about the diving is I only had a limited time in Bali, so I knew there was a specific time that I had to do the dive. And this is so, so important. This is the science we're going to get to in a second, to do with the power of deadlines and how it affects performance. So I had a very clear one, but you've got to be able to set them yourself, because if you don't set them yourself, then issues come up. It's all well having a clear goal, but if you don't actually bring a deadline to it, then it just all falls apart. So the person who did research on this, has been a number of people, but the one I'll share with you today is Dan Ariely. He wrote Predictably Irrational, which is a great book. If you haven't read it, it's on Audible. But he talks about one of the things he talks about is a study where he gave his students in 3 different classes the chance, different ways in order to do their assignments throughout the semester. The first one had complete freedom. They could hand in their 3 essays anytime they wanted. They could hand in all 3 immediately, or they could hand in all 3 at the very end, or space them out how they wanted. It was up to them to decide. The second group had that same freedom, but they had to choose at the start when they were going to hand it in. So they could choose whether it was going to all be at the end or be at the beginning or spread them out evenly, but they had to tell them in the first week what the deadlines were. And then the third group, he just gave them specifically, okay, this is when you've got to hand it in. This date, and this date. And what he found is that the students that had complete freedom to do whenever they want, didn't have to set their own deadlines, got the worst grades. Okay? The ones who had no freedom at all got the best grades, the ones where he told you've got to hand in here. And then the ones that could choose their own deadlines and then had to hand it in got medium grades. So what's going on here? Well, the reason that the ones with complete freedom got low grades is they left it like so late, there wasn't much planning, they procrastinated on it, and then they didn't have much time to do a good job, so it lowered their grades. The ones with the specific deadlines that were told to, they had to get it in at a certain time, so they worked on it, handed that one in, worked on the next one, so the quality of their work was better. And then why was the one where they'd given their own deadlines not as good as the one where they'd been forced to have deadlines? And it was because some of the students had picked deadlines that didn't actually help them. They'd put all 3 at the end of the semester, so they were acting like the complete freedom group. And some of those people dragged down the average score. So we can see, just by the science, the power that having deadlines has on performance. And so in life, we don't have a university professor, for most of our life goals, we don't have a university professor. So we've got to self-impose some of our own deadlines. So it's really, really important that though when you get to those three goals, that you impose those deadlines on you and that you keep it front of mind. And then other research has shown that changing those deadlines to be smaller time frames can actually enhance the speed at which you do them. So instead of just setting one for 3 months away, think about it being 90 days away, because it's easy to let a week pass without doing anything about it, but it's not as easy to let a day pass when each one is ticking away. So that's really the story about the diving, the science to do with Dan Ariely, and then the strategies you can use is about self-imposing your own deadline. The clear goals, the mentors, realizing that the very first part of going after the goal is the scary part, and it gets less and less pressure after that. So what do you need to work on today and overcome that first 10 meters of the goal, because after that it just gets easier. What are you going to commit to? And you can share in the comments below. And so to finish off the story and this episode, what ultimately happened is had a fantastic time doing the dive, ticked off my goal there, and then later we went and did a second one where again I'd learnt this time, okay, we just need to take it slow at the start and go down, and that's the same with goals. Once you've got the hang of one of them, it's going to be easier and easier to work your way through it. It's just about building that ability to achieve, that habit of achievement. Went down slowly, and then once I was at the bottom there, completely got the hang of it and was having an absolute great time, and now I'm hooked on diving and wanting to do my full open water course. And that's what's going to happen with you when you start achieving in different areas of your life. So remember to pick, those 3 main goals, get really clear on them, and then do the strategies here. And the big takeaway from today to do with the science that we learned about Dan Ariely is deadlines, and self-imposing them in smart ways is so important. So hopefully that was useful for you guys. We've had some great response from people saying who wants to be on the show, as well as some expert speakers who we've got lined up coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned and we'll keep sharing with you how to easily create your dream life and how to take action on it to make it a reality.
Thank you for listening to the Achieve Anything Show, brought to you by Strive. Be sure to visit strivers.com to join the conversation, access show notes, and discover other fantastic bonus content that's only available on the website.